an absolute bully who gives no fucks about the veracity of the information that he spreads about smaller streamers.
Just wondering how much you know about nocommentchick, the woman you hosted earlier today.
I'm pretty sure nocommentchick is crazy.
Because I don't want to do any more drama streams. I've got content to get back to. This is a crucial time right now. Trans people are being attacked.
There have been cases where false allegations.
But I don't hate Xanderhal. I don't hate Vosh. I hate their ideas.
You constantly need to make sure that you don't accidentally spread misinformation.
More people need to be respectful, know the boundaries. This person has obviously lost, touch with what those boundaries should be. What does it do to have us not trusting each other? I don't like to drama stream. I don't like this. It feels really bad, especially considering that I'm hit with transphobic tropes from a supposed leftist. One of the main tropes that we deal with as trans people is an accusation that either, it can come in one or two ways. The first way is that trans people are mentally ill. The second way, which is even more pernicious, is that being trans is a mental illness. I find that pretty gross. Unfortunately, those tropes are out there. And what is the deal with a trope? A trope is usually something that on some level, a lot of people already believe. So there's people that aren't explicitly transphobic that maybe their allyship is seen by them as humoring us or something like that. That activates something. When something's a trope, it's because enough of society believes it that fighting against it is an uphill battle. That's why you don't use tropes against people. Even when something fits, even when something is technically true, I try to examine it and I ask myself, is this a trope? And I react accordingly, right? Other creators don't do that. And why would I expect Xanderhal to do that? Let me just give you a little background. Streamers use the word crazy as a be-all, end-all way to shut somebody down. They don't have to specify, they don't have to say what they're talking about, they don't have to show proof. It's just kind of like you call somebody crazy. So I don't think that Xanderhal was purposely thinking ha ha ha, let me activate this transphobic trope. I don't think he was looking at his Yu-Gi-Oh deck and he was like, ooh, transphobic trope, let me play that. He probably didn't realize it, but that doesn't change the impact of what he did. And when it comes to allyship, and Xanderhal, you claim to be an ally. You call yourself an ally. It's impact that matters more than intent. And honestly, with Xanderhal, neither of those are very good. I don't know what's in Xanderhal's dark little heart. And frankly, I don't want to find out. Did he know? Did he not know? I don't know. I don't care. What I care about is that these people start to learn what they're doing to us. And when they claim to be a trans ally and you catch them doing something like this, that's where accountability comes in. I'm not here to cancel Xanderhal. He obviously is trying to cancel me. When you say this about somebody, they're crazy. What does that make people that don't know anything about me think? Just don't go in there. Just don't even look at it. It's trying to slam the door on me. And why does he say that? Well, apparently because we used to be chill, and then she was critical of my Lauren Southern debate. Yeah, Xanderhal, you bringing on Lauren Southern and getting rinsed by her. You got dunked on by Lauren Southern in the silliest way possible, in a way that should have been blatantly obvious. You clout chased her, first of all, right? She's a bigger figure. You wanted to get a debate with her. You got a debate with her on an upcoming book. Tried to make claims about that upcoming book until she points out the fact that, guess what? That book isn't out. So how can you make any claims? How can you say that my book is wrong when you haven't even read it? If Lauren Southern is writing a children's book, it's going to be up. So we all know this. But if you're going to do that debate bro thing, if you're going to play that optics game, you got to realize criticizing a book that you haven't even looked at, that you don't even know anything about, is going to be an L. The ultimate key here is don't debate Lauren Southern. That's what people should take away from this. This dude is just so attention hungry. He can't help himself. He's going off about DJ Muel. I don't like to see anybody under a debate bro dog pile, but defending DJ Muel isn't as easy as it should be. That video that DJ Muel did on Xanderhal veered into the personal in a way that I'm really uncomfortable with. When you start talking about somebody's mom and their issues with their mom, and they happen to have some abuse, I'm not interested in anybody's personal life. I'm not interested in finding the weak spots in people's armor and trying to hurt them by going after them in a personal sort of way. I'm interested in their takes. What's wrong with Xanderhal isn't that he's got mommy issues, and that's a messed up thing to say to somebody that's experienced abuse, right? And the second thing was the whole Lonnie thing. I feel like Lonnie was victimized by the Clout Network. They accused Lonnie of being on meth, right? As far as I can tell, there's no proof of that. Citation, my ass. Plus, like, I mean, this whole thing of like putting a pejorative on addicts, I mean, that's another like thought terminating cliche. Oh, she's on meth. If somebody could be on any drug and still be the victim of abuse. Now, the whole Xanderhal Lonnie thing, it's a mess. It's ugly, and I don't know what to make of it. And you know what? All I did was look to Lonnie. Lonnie said she didn't want anybody talking about it. Lonnie even said in DJ Muel's video she would have preferred not to be brought up. There were some mistakes. The mistakes were made in the DJ Muel video. That being said, they got over 1 million views on this guy. They dogpiled DJ Muel just like they did to Professor Flowers. And Xanderhal is still riding that horse, still riding that drama train. If you're gonna talk about messing with people's personal life, if you're gonna talk about abuse apologia, that's the main thing that they accused DJ Muel of, was abuse apologia. That's like their specialty. Like, I mean, victim blaming? Yeah. The thing is, every single criticism that I heard from debatebro accounts on DJ Muel is one that I could throw back at them. This is something that keeps on coming up again and again and again. And I'm kind of hoping that we can put it to bed this time. I'm really hoping to make this the end of it, right? Because I don't want to have to talk about every little instance of NCC and on. The debate bros are not doing leftism. They are not doing allyship. They don't care. They don't care about our feelings. They don't care about how they impact marginalized groups. To them, we are just fodder. To them, our issues are just discourse. It doesn't feel good. It needs to stop, but we need to make sure that we're at least not coming off as hypocritical. And unfortunately, that was where DJ Muel's video veered. I have tried to avoid talking about this for the longest time, because I do consider DJ Muel, despite any faults, to be an intersectional leftist. I do consider DJ Muel and myself to be on the same side of a lot of issues. Even when drama gets brought to me from this side of things, I tend to not respond to it. I tend to work through back channels and try to resolve it with those people and not turn it into drama. My thought about it was, if I talk about what DJ Muel is saying about me, has been saying about me, it's gonna get picked up by the clout networks. Unfortunately, that horse has now left the wagon. I mean that the trolls that have been attacking me for over a year, all of which started when I stood up to Dylan Burns and asked him to, like, take some consideration of trans people in his panels in terms of, bringing on transphobes. I didn't tell him not to bring the transphobes on or anything like that. I wasn't trying to tell him who he can and can't bring on. In retrospect, yeah, Rob Noor is a pretty transphobic, nasty guy to even consider bringing on. But at the time, I was just asking him to consider Gish Gallop, because that's really, really, really harmful. If a transphobe can go off with transphobic tropes that a naive audience like Dylan's has maybe never encountered before, some of them are going to come away believing that stuff. That's where the hate against NCC started. As a trans woman, apparently I am not allowed, even in, kind of a meek way, to speak up for my community and ask a debate panel host to take us into consideration. That did turn ugly when Dylan was rude to me. I basically hung up on him. This is where the drama started. This is where the story started, that Irene attacked Dylan Burns. The truth of the matter is that Dylan Burns attacked trans people. All I was doing was trying to ask him to stop. I wanted to give him an out. I wasn't trying to cancel anybody. I just wanted him to recognize what he's doing. That's gotten me harassed for the past 2 years. I get harassed by alt accounts. They make up accounts, they put nasty names on them, sometimes transphobic names, sometimes like racist names, all kinds of horrible sometimes accusing me of stuff. And they've been attacking me with these alt accounts. They don't just attack me though. They attack other people. And they figured out a way to attack somebody and then throw them little breadcrumbs of who it might be, or say something that makes you think of something, repeat something that I've said on Twitter, repeat something that I've said on stream, kind of put the idea in the head of somebody who might already not like me that this might be Irene. I'm their main target for that too. So not only have these people made my stream unviewable in a lot of cases, even some of the hate accounts were named Irene, stop hate rating yourself. So it's as if I was doing the hate raids to myself and exposing myself for the hate raids at the same time. That shouldn't make sense. There's a lot about this stuff that shouldn't make sense. There's a lot about this stuff that doesn't add up. But I think that what happens is when you're under this pressure of an anonymous troll attacking you that you don't have any way to track down, Twitch makes it impossible. I've never heard of anybody ever reporting an account and that actually getting to the person who did it, because it's an alt. It's an alt because they don't want anybody to know who it is. The mob mentality comes after these people have spread enough lies around and gotten enough people to believe them, where now you've got victims. I'm going to say this. First and foremost, I want everybody to be really clear about how I view this. DJ Muel is a victim of the same hate raiders that attacked me. It seems like DJ Muel has been hit by the same hate raiders, and regardless, he is a victim of harassment. Sophie from Mars is apparently a victim of this harassment too. DJ Muel followed the breadcrumbs and believed where the trolls were leading him, and they led him straight to me, straight to the main target. So now they don't even have to spoil my reputation. They don't even have to spread lies about me on their mains, because there's every chance that these people are people that are involved in Twitch politics. There's every chance that they could even be streamers. They don't have to do that, right? Now they've got people like DJ Muel, Sophie from Mars, people who should be my ally, instead attacking me because they're just so frustrated about these hate raids, and there's nothing that they can do about them. I think Twitch has actually put some tools in place now. It seems like there's less of them. God, I knock on wood even saying that, right? Because it's scary. It's not easy to deal with, right? It can't have been easy to deal with for DJ Muel. So DJ Muel, if you're out there watching this, I empathize for you. I know possibly better than anyone out there what you've been through. I know how frustrating it is. I know the pressure to want to find the culprit, to want to do some kind of deductive logic, to play detective, and to wrap it up with a bow. If you could say the hate raider's name, if you knew that for sure, and you say their name on stream, maybe they'll go away. I think that's what DJ Muel started off doing. I think when DJ Muel was talking to the hate raider like it was me, he thought that maybe she's in there, and if she is, she'll stop doing the hate raids. DJ Muel, did that work for you? No, right? You did just what they wanted you to do, unfortunately. You've hurt me and my community a lot, but I do recognize that you yourself are a victim, and I'm not gonna try to come at you in some kind of canceling, career-destroying way. I'm not gonna echo lies that the debate bros are spreading about you or anything else, but I've gotta say, stop. Stop getting used. Stop hurting your own side. And that goes to anybody out there that's getting this shit. They screw with your head. And they screwed with my head. I don't think I ever went out and made the definitive accusation of who was in there. I think I said stuff that if they were the people that I thought they were, those people would recognize it. But I was always regarding this with a level of uncertainty, couching this in allegedly and not trying to spread guilt on somebody who might be innocent. The only thing I can say is that when somebody accuses me of doing this stuff, it does kind of make it more likely that they might be involved in it. That's just more likely. That's not definitive. That's not proof. And without proof, allegations are kind of silly. We can see a situation in which a mod leaks dossier was leaked about me, and I was hate raided with an account of that name 4 days before it came out. So this is not something that I would know about. This is something that X-Mods were planning to unleash on me. That doesn't mean that the X-Mods are the hate raiders. You could still conceive of a situation where maybe they trusted somebody, worked with somebody on that thing who was the hate raid without realizing. There is always that chance. We did find something else out about the creator of the dossier. This is a person I really cared about. This is a person that I cared about even after I demodded her, and what she was willing to do to me, the links that she was willing to go to, the way that she wanted to hurt me is actually the most painful thing. It needs to be exposed. We need to talk about it. This is actually upsetting to me. It's upsetting to be attacked by allies like DJ Muel. It's upsetting to be lied about. It's upsetting to not be able to work with people because they believe these lies. And it's upsetting to have debate bros out there spreading lies. There's every indication that Xanderhal has it in his mind that information's important to check, because this was an issue of Keffals checking some information to make sure that something that she went forward with and said on stream was actually true, when in the reality of it was more nuanced than the way that she represented it. Xanderhal recognizes the problem with that. Unfortunately, it's sitting right there, and you're gonna see he doesn't know what he's talking about. He did a drama stream on me last year and immediately deleted it. It's been deleted. It's off of his channel. I can find the tweet that he put out. I saw the stream announcement from his Discord, but the actual stream itself was taken down. All this stuff blew up on the people who spread it. All the people who signal boosted this. These mods were going around from debate bro stream to debate bro stream, and even some kind of right-wing streams like Sansol and Eris, supposed leftist ex-mods of mine mine were using right-wingers to go after me. Their stories started to conflict. It started to become apparent they were spinning a lie. And a lot of the people who were involved in it backed away and just tried to disappear into the hedges like Homer Simpson. They didn't issue an apology. They didn't set the record straight, but they took their hands off of it. There's a lot of deleted VODs about this. There's some that didn't get deleted. A lot of it was just repeating what Eris said. Eris was the one who started she's a crazy streamer, right? She's crazy. She started that transphobic trope. Aristocracy has a bad record on trans issues. That's the original source. A lot of these debate streamers are friends with Eris. What happened was that Vosh had Eris on. Eris gave Vosh a very gentle interview, and then Vosh kind of signaled that, you know, this was a friend, and the rest of these debate bros were just like, oh yeah, Eris is great. They didn't even look into Eris's content. They didn't realize you're not talking about a leftist here. You're not even really talking about a standard right-winger. Eris is so far to the right that she called herself a monarchist. This lady unironically wants to go back to feudalism. I guess capitalism isn't hierarchical enough for Eris. She's an ultra right-winger. She's a friend of the Discord entrepreneur who started the Large Politics Discord that's about half Nazis. The one where they're allowed to do just about everything except for post hate symbols and actually JQ. There's 14-year-old kids on that server. She's friends with somebody who's letting Nazis radicalize 14-year-olds. So that's who Eris is. You know, all these people, Sansol, let's talk about Sansol and the flamenco connection. Let's talk about like all these people's friendliness with people like Lauren Southern and Nick Fuentes. Every single person that these supposedly lefty mods went to spread their story, just to talk about how mean old NCC victimized me in some way that nobody can seem to remember, nobody can seem to explain because it doesn't make sense, and actually the story changed over time. The real story is being a mod is a power, and when you get that power taken away from you, it doesn't feel good. I had to take that power away from some mods last year, and they took it really hard. We all know what 5150 is. It's basically placing a wellness check on somebody. Like it's a real hard call whether this is useful at all, right? Because you're sending the cops to somebody's house when you do this. And if they're a marginalized person, that's dangerous. That's really dangerous. But you know, it's supposed to be used for when somebody is really showing some signs that make you worry about their welfare. It's supposed to be a welfare check. It's supposed to be for their own safety. We've now got screenshots of one of the X-Mods, the creator of the ClanOps dossier herself, planning to get me taken away by the cops, admitted to some kind of mental facility, and she said under a conservatorship. I didn't know what danger I was in last year. I mean, I kind of did, because you know there were people in my DMs making death threats at me. There were people in my DMs threatening to violate my sexual autonomy. There was all kinds of horrible shit, but I didn't even know the worst of it. When a troll says something to you, when a troll makes a threat, you don't know if it's like for real or not. And I hope most of this stuff like is not for real. I hope most of the stuff is just, you know, stuff that they're saying to scare me. But it does seem like there was a real attempt to plan to use the mental health system against me. And that's why Xanderhal's statement that I'm crazy, unqualified, that's why that's so dangerous, in addition to that being a trope. So it's something that you can say about a trans woman, something that people say about Demon Mama, something that people have probably said about Polly, something that a lot of trans people get, that sticks because there is a bias in society that this might actually be true. It's the same thing as, you know, when a black person is called violent. No matter how much we want to say that we're post-racial, that we're colorblind, that everybody bleeds red, in reality, there still is an impression among a lot of people that being black is dangerous, that black people are dangerous and violent. Before we found out this mod was trying to 5150 me, they made an accusation at one of my mods that they were being violent, and they weren't. I'll show you the clip that was clipped and, you know, used as like, here's the proof that this guy's violent, right? He's not. He didn't say anything violent. He's only getting called violent probably because he's black. It's disgusting. I really don't want anybody to harass anybody, because I realize I'm showing DJ Muel in a not so great light, obviously Xanderhal in a pretty bad light, but Xanderhal's, you know, a big streamer. He can take care of it himself. But there is the X mod, you know, I'm a little bit more sensitive to. I don't know how she's doing, and I don't want anybody to harass her. So I'm not even going to mention her name. We're just going to refer to her as Mecha Karen Bunch of Numbers. Unlike some people, I try to be responsible with my platform. We don't harass. That's the last thing I want. Having dealt with, harassment both from Dylan's fans and from these, hate raiders, I don't wish that on anybody. Because the biggest thing that they try to do is DM other streamers and say, don't you know about nocommentchick? She's horrible. Look at this Google Drive, look at this video, look at this, whatever. And it's just a big nothing burger. There's nothing there, just like the folders. All they had was a screenshot of folders, which got a bunch of debate bros attention because they said their names. So well played, I guess, right? If you write somebody's name on something and you say, hey, this chick's got folders on you, then they're gonna go after that, right? There's people on there that I have literally never talked about. And the folders themselves are something I've never seen before and didn't really get to see what was inside there. So I can't really speak to that. This is all just kind of made to look like receipts without actually being receipts. So it's out there, right? It's out there along with Xanderhal calling me crazy, referring to something that he can't quite remember and saying that I'm a super meanie butt.
He decided to take that and
Okay, so he's talking about DJ Muel.
Basically exacerbate it to the most insane list of just completely.
I gotta say though, I'm not trying to dunk on anybody for getting exaggerated and exacerbated mixed up. That's an easy mistake to make, but I think that in general, in order to show their intellectual bona fides, a lot of debate bros try to use words that are not super common to them, that aren't words that they would normally use in real life. And I think that sometimes those words come up in the wrong context, and you actually meant exaggerated, and you say exacerbated because you practiced using the word exacerbated to up your reading level a little bit. It's just like there's so much that's performative about this, and I'm not trying to take on anybody for vocabulary of all things. Like I'm not just a woke scold. I really am the mean teacher.
Incorrect and so out of this world. It was hard to even engage with the lies. They're so misled. The information that leads up to the lie about my life would be so incorrect. It would be hard to debunk the lie without telling more. There's a lot of pressure that I don't think the average viewer understands even exists, that is on the average content creator in my position, right? Where every day I have the responsibility to come onto stream and respond to multi-billionaire funded demagogue propaganda campaigns that use masterfully crafted dog whistles to simultaneously radicalize the most fervent of their followers into violence, while at the same time providing the least radical parts of their audience with plausible deniability.
This is how he characterizes reacting to PragerU. The most sophisticated dog whistles, and I have to unravel their lies with my masterful brain. I don't know. He's just flexing.
As to the motivations of the content creators, I have to go
He's just playing hero
and find a responsible and effective way to respond to that propaganda that simultaneously calls out the dog whistles without falling for the intent of the dog whistles. So if you notice any time that you have to deal with a right-wing figure on Twitter, for example, they will always fall back to, tell me where I said insert group of people is worse than this group of people, right? They will demand you screenshot them saying black people are bad or trans people.
This is something that debate bros do too. This is something that you're going to recognize. Xanderhal is talking about the right wing. He seems to have seen these tactics by the right wing and not just taken them as these are the tactics, these are the tools of my enemy, but I should try that, right? Because these are all things that debate bros have adopted. And that's the problem. When you come from a fundamentally dominance paradigm centered place, I keep saying it, but it's true. You're kind of set up to incorporate more right-wing ideas because you started with one right-wing idea at the very core, that debate shows truth. That who comes off looking the strongest in a debate is actually the person speaking the truth.
Or bad, right? If you say, you said this dog whistle, this is very well known to mean this, which means, yeah, and they'll say, oh, you can't say that's not what I actually said, and they'll do it with a big smug smile on their face. It's very common. And so you have to find a way to navigate this minefield of looking crazy for calling out dog whistles, and pretty much you fall in for the meme or the troll or whatever, while also pointing out what is happening. It's difficult. What gets even harder is when you're dealing with content creators and figures online who have these large platforms that have people who know how bad they are, or know what they're doing, or believe they're doing bad things, and have motivations to lie about those people, right? So this doesn't just apply to somebody like DJ Muel or Keffals or anything like that. There have been cases where false allegations
Really?
of like
Get this.
pedo and stuff like that have come out against people like Blair White. I remember there was some like really
He thinks he remembers, but actually, watch, he doesn't.
elaborate, I don't know if it was like pedo allegations.
Maybe it
or
wasn't
something.
pedo.
It was some elaborate
Something.
false allegation and like really well-made fake evidence against Blair White that came out like back in 2020, and everybody on the left fell for it.
So it's almost like if somebody were to say that Xanderhal had a sex cult, right? And in actuality, Xanderhal didn't have a sex cult. He had an inappropriate Discord server, which is different than a sex cult. Substantively different, right? And somebody that euphemized said Discord server as a sex cult in a tweet might get criticized over and over and over again by a clout network of debate bros.
Everyone on the left fell for it because it was very convenient. It was like, oh my God, look at that. This destroys Blair White.
So watch what he's saying. You know, you got to watch out for things that are convenient. You know, if you're beefing with somebody, if you don't like somebody, don't necessarily go for some dirt that you see on them that somebody gives to you, because you got to look it up. You got to do your own research. Since Xanderhal's joining NCC and on today, I guess, but ironically, they don't do their own research. They don't check their sources. It's something bad about somebody I don't like, therefore I'm going to repeat it. And with a bigger platform, it doesn't matter. You won't get caught. If who you're beefing with is a much smaller streamer, there's no way that they can have the reach in order to spread the fact that you literally lied about them. See what he's saying? Like, be careful about criticizing like right-wingers when you don't have all the facts, because if you're a little wrong about something, they'll use it to discredit you on maybe some of your substantive criticisms. That's a pretty smart strategy. That's a good thing to keep in mind. But you're going to notice that Xanderhal is not taking his own advice when it comes to NCC.
Right? Everyone shared it around, everybody fell for it, everyone believed it, and then within a couple of days, hard evidence came out that it was in fact fake. And everyone who believed it, fell for it, and pushed that looked like a lying fool.
Just like you look when you had to delete your VOD about me, yeah?
Like a liar or a fool. That's something you have to constantly be worried about. You constantly need to make sure that you don't accidentally spread misinformation about somebody who's a large public figure, because if you do that, no matter how bad they are, they can always point to that and say, well, you got that little tidbit wrong. Or even if it just looks like you lied about something, they can claim that you did, and you're
I mean, this is a classic debate bro move too, right? They have absolutely adopted. If this is from the right wing, this is something that they have adopted from the right wing.
credibility's done. Doesn't matter how correct, based, well substantiated, anything
He's talking about himself pretty much.
else you say is going forward, they can twist a narrative that you're a liar, a spiteful liar, just because you fell for a spiteful lie. And that's something you have to be careful of as a content creator.
But only when you're dealing with chud logic, not when you're dealing with no comment check, okay?
And there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders when you do have a platform like this. And DJ Muel is not somebody who cares about that responsibility, but I know Keffals is. It's why I'm glad that she called DJ Muel out, because it's scary to imagine a future in which he's got a fairly sizable Twitter following and he can just tweet out some
It's a scary notion to imagine, you know, a Xanderhal with social media influence that can throw more tropes at us, right? That can silence us, because that's what you're trying to do when you're calling somebody crazy. She's crazy. That is all you need to know. If you go into her stream, you're going to have to deal with some just really frustrating, irrational. So just don't even go there. Don't even bother. Because, like, you know, the last thing you want to do is check on the person that we are dogpiling. Dude, there's no need to do that because they're crazy. See how this works? And you guys have used the crazy thing too many times on too many people for anybody to take it seriously. Also, what is this idea like of turning mental health into the basis for like listening to somebody or not? I mean, like, I know Xanderhal doesn't give a fuck about ableism. This guy's back on the R-slur train, right? So he doesn't care about ableism at all. But you know, that's a pretty fucked up thing to do when you think about it, considering the fact that some of these people using crazy as an offhand way to dismiss people are people that might suffer from depression, people that might suffer from anxiety, society. Do you realize that that pejorative that you're using literally states that you should not be listened to either? I think that, like, we got to get off this
fake allegation and it actually sticks to somebody next time. You know, that's a scary idea, that he actually ends up, the online left forgets about these lies, and like in a year from now, he falsely accuses someone else and people buy it. It's a scary idea. And he's not the only one behaving like this. There are literally a dime a dozen people like this on Twitter that are maybe not just as, but in some cases, even worse than him. Yeah, gotta keep an eye out. There is such thing as leftist misinformation. A whole bunch of other content creators in the space coming out to dunk on DJ Muel for his very obvious lies. These lies were very clearly an attempt to try to basically sour my reputation so much among the left that I would not have the ability to grow an audience.
What? Okay, so what are you gonna call what you did to me today? What was that? What do you call, like, calling somebody crazy? What do you call signal boosting somebody that we're going to find out has a history of racism and actually went as far as to try to 5150 me last year?
And make a living. He was essentially trying to do career assassination with lies. There's really no other way to put it. DJ Muel's credibility is pretty at this point, but the problem is that this guy and how bad he is isn't entirely broadly known, right? Like, just because DJ Muel did me this dirty doesn't mean that most people on the left are going to write him off as like a bad person who you cannot trust. And unfortunately, this is going to continuously lead to the detriment of...
And this is pretty mask off. All he cares about is building his audience. There's no actual care for supporting leftists. Yeah, these people will bitch about like leftist unity and the fact that they're getting called debate bros, they're getting attacked from the left, and then just go ahead and do stuff like what he's about to do here.
Anybody who takes anything this DJ Muel guy has to say seriously. One such victim of DJ Muel's misinformation is Keffals. Like, you gotta be careful who you trust on the left when you're, you know, getting info on people's careers.
That's true. So, like, in other words, if you had a group of people that, you know, had a beef with somebody because of being demodded, you might want to actually know that that was the motivating factor for what they were doing before you signal boost their stuff. You might want to check on some other VODs and see if what they're saying on those VODs are matching with what they're saying now. You might want to do a little bit of due diligence, because a lot of this stuff should have been easily disprovable from the beginning. The problem is the debate bros, like Xanderhal was saying, were motivated to want to poison the well against me. He takes no care whatsoever into the possibility that he's poisoning the well against a smaller streamer that has no real platform to fight back on. And Xanderhal, I'm going to show you today to be an absolute bully who gives no f***s about the veracity of the information that he spreads about smaller streamers.
All right, I found it. Are we leaking DJ Muel DMs? Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. We got the DJ Muel DMs. Okay.
Okay, so it was on June 2nd. Hey Keffals, hope you're good, love. Just wondering how much you know about nocommentchick, the woman you hosted earlier today.
Okay. I'm pretty sure nocommentchick is crazy.
Because Eris said so. Okay, we can trust Eris, right? But why am I crazy? Let's hear him out.
Like, me and her were pretty chill for a while, but then, like, I wasn't really paying attention to it, but then, like, some crazy drama happened, and it was really weird.
So we were really chill for a while, he says. When I started doing content, Xanderhal was doing like leftist videos, but he was also doing Minecraft. And that was like a combination that really appealed to me. I feel like his community, when it started out, was pretty wholesome. There were a lot of trans people in there, and it looks nothing like it looks today. Like, we were friends, and, you know, I've defended Xanderhal at various times. Sometimes I found out that I shouldn't have been defending him. DJ Muel messages Keffals this summer. Keffals had just hosted me because basically she realized that the people that were hate rating her and the people that were hate rating me were the same people. Some of those trolls were trying to get her to believe it was me, and she didn't buy into it. So, like, she was under that stress, she was under that pressure too, and she reacted differently than DJ Muel. I've always couched my support for Keffals as critical support. This was a long time ago. Keffals was on her anti-debatebro arc, and she looked at me and she saw a comrade. So kudos for her for that. That support didn't really last very long. When she, officially joined the White Leaf Network as a way to get away from the hate raids, at least to have like a platform she could control a little bit more, she absolutely drops me like a rock. DJ Muel saw the hosting or heard about the host. I don't know, maybe it went through the networks. How do you know when somebody like hosts somebody? The answer is probably through the trolls. The trolls want DJ Muel to attack me. The trolls want Keffals to attack me. The trolls want us all attacking each other. The trolls want everybody with a beef on the left to attack the person they have beef with and assume that that's who it is. They get so much bang for their buck. All they have to do is troll one person's channel at a time, and now you've got all these lefties attacking each other, and unfortunately people fall for the bait. Earlier in this VOD, Xanderhal said, "No comment chick, I'm pretty sure is crazy. We used to be okay, we used to be chill, and then yada yada yada." And really what he means is like she made a video criticizing my debate with Lauren Southern, which was a really bad idea, and I criticized the Surfs debate with Lauren Southern. Every leftist who did content with Lauren Southern got some criticism from me, because I'm honest, I don't just make videos that are supportive of people that I'm friends with. The Lauren Southern video probably was like, I probably handled him with kid gloves at the time, because like we did have like a history together. I started recognizing when he started doing stuff like that, when he started hanging out with Vosh more, when he started like, using the R slur more and more, I kind of realized that this is not somebody I can support. This is not somebody I can hang with. This is somebody that's doing harm. When Mix Vivian made me aware of the effects of him and Riley Grace Rochong platforming Calvin Xera, when trans YouTube had done everything they could to try to deplatform Calvin Xera, Xanderhal and Riley brought Calvin Xera back.
And then she started saying and doing some weird stuff, and I listen. No defense to DJ Muel here or whatever, but yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm not here to defend anything to do with NCC here in regards to DJ Muel.
And I said, no, what about her? Weird he knew May 30th. Okay, so
so he's not going to defend me. Fine, Xanderhal. I'm probably better off. I don't need that from you. You're not a credible source, is what I'm saying.
It's a lot, but she hate raids me, Sophie from Mars, and a bunch of our friends regularly. Because I don't believe that. She pretends to be her ex-mods, who she abused in many different ways, or people close to us. Yeah, I didn't either.
That may be true. As much of a liar as DJ Muel is, I do remember something having to do with like a million ults pretending to be mods or whatever.
There he goes. He's on board with the author of the ClanOps dossier. I think it's time that we took a little bit of a retrospect about the person who he signal boosted. We'll call her Mecha Karen Bunch of Numbers. I'm gonna assume that he doesn't know this. And if you're gonna boost somebody's signal, you maybe should know this. I showed that screenshot of the hate raider, the Twitch name that said mod dossier leaks, that happened 4 days before the dossier leak. So, I mean, there is some suspicion on these ex-mods. However, like I said, it could just be that they trusted the wrong person. It could be somebody that they worked with. I know they worked with like Samantha Banana, Sleepy CLX, the person that made up the Catboy Ranch thing against Keffals. They were trafficking in some pretty gross circles, some pretty right-wing circles. They went to Aristocracy, Sonsol with this. Part of the manifesto against NCC was like a statement that I had attacked Dylan Burns, that like me criticizing Dylan Burns to defend trans people was something that was really wrong. I don't think I even talk in this one. Yeah, Umar's giving me advice about how to deal with haters.
Keep moving forward. Leave the haters behind. Stop worrying about what people say bad about you. And when we get to it, we'll take care of the haters. You're like I said, you don't know what you're dealing with me.
Did anybody hear the violent threat in there? Was there a violent threat? Was Umar being violent? You see what's happening here? Mecha Karen reaches into her grab bag and pulls out violent when listening to Umar. Maybe Mecha Karen, Bunch of Numbers, was unaware of her own implicit bias. And if you got that much implicit bias to unpack, where like dealing with the haters becomes like a violent threat, that is the first thing I will show you from our friend who DJ Muel cited this person as his source. Where's the source? Where's the information? Where's the citation? It's from Mecha Karen Bunch of Numbers. This is like This is hard for me to see. And again, like, I don't want anybody to harass any of these people, right? This is not the way to solve this. I've shown what I need to show. Anybody with any sort of conscience whatsoever is gonna see this and they're gonna put this to bed, and they're gonna stop making wild NCC anon claims. They're gonna stop poisoning the well. They're gonna stop listening to this person if they come in and DM them. It would be easier to just get Irene committed. I'm thinking I might lie to did I tell you this? I'm thinking about it. Telling him I have a bunch of alts in her server. Wait, did I even read this? And that we know someone from her real life. What the fuck? And are gonna try to get her in a conservatorship. Because she's a danger to herself and others. Is that cruel? Yes. Yeah, that's cruel. This is somebody I cared about. This is somebody that I, part of me still cares about. This hurts a lot. This is somebody that seemed to know what was going on in my streams as soon as they happened. This is somebody that was, I don't want to use the word stalking, but make up your own mind. Obsessed with me. Actually had kind of followed our mutual friend around and yelled at him when she saw him in my server. So that's why I'm really adamant about nobody harassing this person. Either she does have a bunch of alts in my server and that's almost a confession of being behind the hate raids, or this was just something that was supposed to make the claim more believable. I can't really tell which. We know someone from her real life and are going to try to get her in a conservatorship. The conservatorship thing, my understanding of the conservatorship of Brittany, she was stalked by someone. This is kind of proof that she had really ill intentions, that she was really dangerous and slash, potentially still is. I want to emphasize that I feel like she had some really unrealistic expectations. I don't need anybody to protect me from this person, all right? They've been exposed. That's all we need to do. And there's been a lot of allegations made about me, wanting to take things further. None of them with any sort of receipts to them, but more people need to be respectful, know the boundaries. This person has obviously lost, touch with what those boundaries should be, and that's scary. So that is who Xanderhal was signal boosting. That's who DJ Muel cited as his source. That's where all this shit came from. A person who wanted to get me committed, and even admits on Discord, that laughs about it. This was funny to her. This is the person that I still cared about. This is the person I made sure not to talk about. This is the person that even after demodding, I still wanted to help and still, planned to help her get started as a streamer. That was something that we had talked about, although I wasn't comfortable having her as a mod for reasons that I will not get into unless I have to, because that stuff also does not reflect very well on her.
Obviously the target of some sort of hate campaign, it's weird. Yeah, I thought that too. How are you sure? Because to be honest...
Okay, so that's Keffals defending me against DJ Muel. She's obviously the target of some kind of hate campaign. Why does Keffals say that? Because the hate raiders spreading allegations about me being part of the hate raid kind of doesn't make sense that would be me doing it. The fact that there are a gazillion named accounts with nocommentchick somewhere in that name that are used to harass people, I would assume. One of them is even camping out my original Twitch name, nocommentchick on Twitch. They're also using my logo on their account. They are literally pretending to be nocommentchick, and as far as we know, they are the troll. Keffals looked at this and rightly concluded that I was not the perpetrator of this abuse, but rather the victim. Also, something that I want to point out, these are alt accounts. The people doing the harassing are alt accounts on Twitch, alt accounts on Discord. I have reported so many of these accounts. My mods have reported so many of these accounts. None of this stopped them from happening. So as far as we know, there is no way to get to what is the identity of this person. There is no way to find out. There's no solution. That's what's so frustrating about this stuff. Twitch did add some tools which do make it easier to deal with them. And a lot of our stuff on Twitch is disabled. I have been attacked by these trolls more or less ever since I got in the fight with Dylan Burns. It's waxed, it's waned, it's been different at different times, and there's every chance that like there's different people doing it. There's every chance that it's not always the same person, and that's what I want to drive in. I know it feels good. I know you want to have some certainty, DJ Muel. I know that dealing with a nameless, faceless troll is really scary and unnerving, and to think that it is somebody that I've got beef with, somebody that I've heard bad things about, like never mind the source of those bad things, which I never bothered to investigate. I never bothered to really look into the situation and find out what was happening. DJ Muel got played. DJ Muel got used, okay? And he is not the only person. Now, since he's made these allegations, apparently he's been going around people's DMs spreading these lies about me. And now this is a Xanderhal video. DJ Muel, do you see how long I waited to talk about this? I tried to not let this blow up. I did not want this to get used as more fuel to the fire against you, because despite the fact that you've lied about me, that you've tried to ruin my relationship with other leftist content creators, I don't want to make the dog pile on you by the debate bros any worse. And I am also sympathetic to the fact that it sounds like you're really getting hate rated, right? I believe you when you say that. I just wish you'd believe me. I just wish you'd put your money where your mouth is when it comes to being a leftist, when it comes to being a trans advocate. I just wish that solidarity was not an empty phrase for you. And it hurts because we were friends. I absolutely played on this. And I'm still presenting you as a victim. You are a victim of the hate raids. You're lashing out at me as a result of the psychological stress that comes from having to put up with this, having your friends get this. I need this information spread because I have become the go-to person to blame for lefty channels that claim to be trans allies. What the fuck? You're literally helping them harass a trans woman off the fucking platform. Recognize that and stop getting played. I have showed you where the stuff that you believed on me came from. Somebody who wanted to get me committed. Somebody who, it sounds like, made a plan. This is scary for me because I didn't know this was happening. I couldn't have imagined. People need to be aware that these are lies. They're lies motivated by hate by somebody that's willing to go to absurd length to hurt me. If they're spreading those lies, they're helping that person. I don't think that's what they want to do. I don't think they want to be part of getting a trans girl committed for the crime of speaking up for trans rights. That's the most fucked up thing. This all stems from the conflict with Dylan Burns, and the people who got demodded literally went and helped the other side as a result of being demodded. And you gotta respect my autonomy to have that, to run my stream the way that I want it, and to have the personnel that I feel comfortable with. Yeah, DJ Muel should have talked about it. Instead he just blocked me, but I'd still be open to having a conversation. I don't hate him. I want him to just figure his shit out. What does it do to have us not trusting each other? What does it do to have us believing witch trials? And this is all witch trial logic. You know, something bad is happening. Who could it be? Oh, you know, the person that we hate because they spoke up to Dylan? Yeah, it's her. And I'm sick of it. And this needs to be the end of it because I don't want to do any more drama streams. I've got content to get back to. This is a crucial time right now. Trans people are being attacked. I don't even really want to get caught up on the debate bros more than I have to. It's important that people understand that this isn't real leftism. It's important for people to understand where they fail at intersectionality, but I don't hate Xanderhal. I don't hate Vosh. I mean, I understand if some of you maybe have stronger feelings towards these people than I do, but I hate their ideas. I hate their attacks on marginalized people. I hate how comfortable they are lying about people. I hate the way that they blackball anybody who offers a criticism. That's it. I want them to become real leftists. I want them to understand intersectionality. I want them to show solidarity. I don't wish anybody any hate.
You got me in before. You didn't have evidence that Chud Logic is a pedophile, and I got dragged for saying that. I got you in shit. I used your thread as proof Chud Logic was a pedophile, which resulted in like 2 weeks of drama and multiple calls.
And it makes for a good story, right? Do you see how much reach that story has? We got one story. It's nameless, faceless troll, probably transphobic, right-wing, attacks trans streamers. That's one version of the story. Second version of the story, trans streamer attacks trans streamers. So you the one that's got the juice? People are hungry for narratives that blame trans people for transphobia.
Problem is, the person providing the golden platter is a liar, and that gold was in fact fool's gold, not even a real golden platter, and that W was in fact an unfortunate L.
So Xanderhal, you did the same thing, right? You are upset about me for critiquing you on your complicity in bringing Lauren Southern back into relevance, right? I think you handed her a really easy W. I think you made a really bad mistake, in debating Lauren Southern. You were one of the first ones to do it too, right? And I criticized you for that. So, you needed that W, and somebody came in saying, I got the goods on nocommentchick, and you didn't even check on it. You didn't even verify it. You just ran with it. And I can tell that that you did something wrong by the fact that, to use aristocracy's logic, by the fact that you deleted that VOD. That VOD is no longer up. Xanderhal backed away from this. A lot of the people, deleted VODs. There was a general feeling of they backing away, not talking about it anymore, and just kind of pretending it never happened to the best of their abilities.
And I really am sad that Keffals had to get the blowback for this because, while yes, a responsibility for spreading this info and all of that, and yes, it did need to be hauled out, very clearly you can tell here from this private interaction, Keffals is pretty upset that she unknowingly spread misinfo, which has harmed her credibility. Now, does this mean that there's a learning, lesson to come from this? Obviously, yeah. But it goes to show just how much of a liar this DJ Muel guy is. You can't take him seriously.
Well, apparently you can take him seriously when it comes to nocommentchick. This is the biggest irony about this video that Xanderhal made, right? He's going off about how no one should ever listen to DJ Muel. No one should ever take DJ Muel seriously. But when it comes to nocommentchick, oh no, he's probably right about that because she's crazy.
Other content creators that take him seriously are doing so at the detriment of their own credibility. And I'm really glad that Keffals has recognized that this guy's a lying piece of shit and has called him out. Absolutely giga-based behavior.
If you don't trust me now, I can't really do anything about that. I would ask you to trust your ex-mods though. And then he does this.
Okay, so there's that Twitter link up there is actually Mecha Karen's Twitter, and like I said, I'm not trying to send any hate that way, right?
The more I think about what you said, the more I'm pissed about it. You decide to publicly speak out about someone grooming.
So this is funny. Keffals basically kind of is like, okay, so I don't believe that's true. I think she's pretty clearly the victim here. What is your proof? And all that DJ Muel can muster is a link to somebody who tried to get me committed, right? That's all he's got. But then he does look at this. This is what's interesting here, okay? So he puts that up. That's his bet. That's the closest he's gonna get to receipts. But that is what he's citing. He's not okay with anything that I've shown you today, and yet he didn't bother to do the research and find out who he was citing. This was June. There's no excuse of time. This wasn't revealed yet, right? This was in June. DJ Muel was still spreading this and for all I know is still DMing people, trying to, anytime somebody follows me on Twitter, trying to get them to come off of it, right? It's really gross. And this is funny too. Somebody saying that DJ Muel and Mecha Karen are friends. I can't speak to that, but I can say that somebody that I did see in Mecha Karen's chat was Samantha Banana, right? This is who she's hanging out with, and DJ Muel's absolutely cool with her, right?
The debate community standing up for each other because toxic masculinity trumps believing victims is what got you dragged, and I would never have recommended you start that because I knew what would happen. I'm coming to you with this info about Irene because she's someone deeply hurtful and is possibly a danger to people in your community.
Do I seem pretty dangerous, chat?
I don't want you to drama stream about it. I don't want you to tweet about it. I just wanted you to know. And while you're at it, stop making apologies for Vosh.
So now here's what's weird. DJ Muel's being buddy-buddy with Keffals, right? And that's strange to me too, because yeah, Keffals was friendly with Vosh, has been friendly with Vosh for a long time.
This man has like an Avengers lineup of debate.
He doesn't even notice. What I noticed about this is the inconsistency, right? There is no discussion about Vosh. There is no discussion about the myriad of other problems that DJ Muel obviously has with Keffals. It is just, can I burn a bridge for Irene? That's all he's interested in. And as soon as he sees that that's not going to happen, he's like, well, actually, I don't like you anyway. You're one of those Vosh people, huh? It's gross.
hate streamers in his mind.
I'm deeply hurtful for standing up for trans people. That's right. I want to remind everybody, okay, that DJ Muel was a victim of the hate raids. Like, right from, I mean, when you say you got hate raided, I believe you, right? And I think that had a lot to do with his propensity to want to find somebody to blame for those hate raids, right? To want to just like because otherwise you're just like, hey, get a life. What are you doing? You stupid transphobe, you stupid hate raider. It's a lot easier to be like, hey, Irene, we know it's you, Irene, and maybe if you can trick yourself into thinking it's Irene, that's like makes it easier for you to deal with. I just want to understand. I want people to understand that this is not an easy thing to deal with. This does with the uncertainty with you, and I think that DJ Muel ultimately was a victim of that. And I gotta say that there is some chance that the people in DJ Muel's ear were involved with the hate raids. We have already documented a connection, and that's all I'll call it because I'm not gonna make too strong of a claim, but there's a connection between the X mods and the hate raiders. Like, if they weren't doing the hate raids themselves, somebody in their circle who they were planning to take down NCC with the mod dossier leaks and the manifesto and whatever else the hell they tried to throw at me, like the hate raider knew what they were doing before they did it. That's disturbing, and that's why I say there is every chance that DJ Muel was getting pulled to blame me by the same people that were responsible for hate raiding him. Samantha Banana actually was seen in Aiko's chat saying that she was bored that night because I wasn't streaming and she couldn't make alts to yell at me. So not only, was Samantha Banana involved, Samantha Banana is the only one who owned up to the hate raids. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody because there's a lot of hate raiders. Some of them said really bad things. Some of them were like trying to dox me and ending up doxing people that I care about and that shouldn't ever get drawn into this, and that I had to make copious apologies to because of that. I don't want to blame Samantha for everything because that was really early on where she talked about making alts and going into my channel and yelling at me. So that is an acknowledgement that she did. That is at its basic level what a hate raid is. I would like to think though that Samantha wasn't involved, that maybe she got over needing to yell at me, that most of it was done by other people, but I don't know. Yeah, she's I just don't know, and I really don't want to cast more. I only mentioned her name because she did confirm in chat that she had done that at least somewhat, but I don't you can't draw a conclusion from that all the really toxic stuff that I got hate raided with was due to Samantha, because there's just no knowing. There could have been any number of people hate raiding, and that's why I'm not coming at this in an attempt to blame, in an attempt for certainty, in an attempt to say these are the confirmed hate raiders. We know that these people were involved. We know some of the suspects. They're the same people that have been harassing me. Honestly, anybody who talks about me on some level has to be a suspect. But if I start to go over that list and I just throw suspicion on all those people, that's wrong, because I am invariably gonna hit some people that didn't do that. I want to model good behavior. If you think somebody hate raided you but you don't know, if they have a bad take, I'll respond to that. I'm gonna deal with them as content creators, because for all I know, that is all they are. I feel like when people try to play Detective Pikachu, they hurt a lot of innocent people, and I don't want to fall into that trap. It's not healthy, and doing that deductive logic shit, I just think that you're burning yourself out, because I know I've tried to deduce and I could never get anything stronger than there's a high possibility.
We can just harass this person now until they're depressed and suicidal and don't want to do anything on the internet ever again. That's totally fine now, because they made some good money on Patreon. That's how, yeah, it's a very weird mindset that people on the left will operate with. It's a weird double standard.
Isn't that just somebody in chat pops up and they say DJ Muel's a poopy head, or maybe something more toxic than that, but then it's just you ban them and it's done, right? No, it's not. It's never done. You cannot ban these people. By the time you're banning them, they're making another alt. That's what's so frustrating about these people. That's what's so frustrating about the hate raids. Xanderhal is incredibly hypocritical in this video. He's cautioning people not to spread things that they don't know are true. true, but at the same time, he's got no care or caution about spreading lies about me. He didn't when he did his hate stream against me. He hasn't learned anything. He was going to say you shouldn't spread things that you don't know are true, but then he caveats that with of big streamers. So that only goes for big streamers, and it's only because if you get caught doing that, it can be bad for you. So it's all about the W's and the L's. This is a common Keffals W. It's a completely different set of rules for smaller streamers, meaning that these debate bros don't give a about us. They see us as, resources to be farmed, as, people to bully with their larger platforms, and with transphobic tropes, like the whole trans women are crazy. Thanks, Xanderhal. You're a really good trans ally. I still hold out hope DJ Muel will come around, that he'll apologize to. But at this point, that is what needs to happen to unburn this bridge. I hate that you get used by the trolls that were attacking both of us. They used you to do their dirty work. And I think you have the propensity to do very good work. This should be a warning to leftist streamers. This should be a warning to everybody who's believed about me. I want you to spread this. I want you to share this. I need other people to cover this, because there are sections of even leftist Twitch that 100% believe this because they've just heard it from so many people. Some of those people might not be ill-intentioned, especially if they themselves were victims of the hate raids. A splash potion of weakness and a golden apple is apparently all we need to get DJ Muel back on the right side again. If you're watching me on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment. I do answer those, and sometimes I answer them in a sassy way.